Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session created for a client that was a bit frustrated, a bit had a feeling of being trapped and unvalued in their place of work, and really wanted to find a new lease of life again. They had a passion for art. They had experience of being an artist. They had bought lots of art supplies but not really put them to use. So this session is really using the metaphor of art to paint a picture of the kind of future that they would want, where they're not dependent on their current job for their income, and perhaps that they could have an income coming from their art or coming from their other talents. So it's this idea of unlocking and unleashing that inner artist to enable them to create a future that they desire. And if you think about any kind of creative endeavor, whether it's art, inventing, effectively you have an idea and then you're creating a reality from that idea. So an artist has an idea of an image or a painting, but it's only real when they do the work necessary to take their vision and make it real. And I would say a lot of goal setting is exactly the same thing. It's not easy to take an idea of how you want your life to be and make it that way, but it does require a very clear idea of what you want it to be like and what's required to make that change. And then more importantly, doing what's necessary to do that. This uses art as a metaphor, but there's of course many other metaphors that could be useful for that. Architecture could be one. You've got a blueprint of your life, but unless you turn that blueprint into a reality, it's just a blueprint. And I'm sure there are incredible buildings that have been designed but never built. Wouldn't it be a shame if that was your life? That there was this incredible life that you could have made and created, but it only existed as ideas. So there's a bit going on in this hypnosis session, but really it's designed to unlock and unleash the part of you that is willing to bet on you and believe in you to do what you are capable of doing. If you feel like you're struggling in life and you're not making the level of progress that you want, as always, you can schedule a free consultation call with me by clicking the link in the show notes. But you might find that hearing a hypnosis session created for someone else might unlock some inspiration or ideas about how you want your future to be. So find a comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in, just breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of tension, stress, or worry to feel like it's leaving your body in your outward breath. Breathing in that resourceful feeling of relaxation and just releasing any tension in and around your eyes. Noticing that with your eyes closed, you can focus more of your attention on the sound of my voice. As you breathe in that incredible resourceful feeling of relaxation, just notice where tension exists in your body and just get a growing sense that is melting away and leaving your body in your outward breath. I want you to imagine staring into perhaps a palette of different colours, maybe bright greens and oranges and yellows and reds. Just imagine a full spectrum of different colours all laid out. And I want you to accept the idea that each colour is a useful emotional resource state. And I want you to imagine that you're breathing in a different combination of those colours in the form of light. Just imagine that a beam of light of the same colour as the paint starts to project itself upwards from the paint, and you can breathe in that. And maybe yellow represents creativity. Maybe red represents determination. Maybe purple is tenacity. Maybe a deep blue is a sense of self-confidence or self-belief. But just allow your mind to create the idea that resources and emotional states can be colours, and colours can be emotional, resourceful states. Sometimes the colour red might be used as passion or anger. And sometimes green can represent nature or new beginnings. So as you breathe in these resourceful colours, feel that you're becoming more resourceful. And as you exhale, see a darker, greyer colour leave your body, and that is all of your doubts, all of your fears, any sadness, any stress. Just feel like all of that is leaving your body. These bright, colourful emotions are going in, and anything holding you back is just leaving your body. And I want you to imagine what it would be like to be walking around the National Gallery. Imagine those big halls, different sections. But I want you to imagine that for some reason, on this particular day, you have the entire gallery just to yourself. No one else is there. No security. No other people. No staff. Just you, able to walk around the National Gallery at your leisure. Perhaps there's a particular painting that you enjoy looking at. And perhaps on more than one occasion you've stared into that picture and got lost in your own imagination. And I want you to imagine doing that now. You're there in the gallery staring into a picture, a painting, and just getting lost in your own imagination. And what if you were to imagine perhaps a bed right in the middle of one of the big halls of the National Gallery. It's just in your imagination, and I want you to imagine, because no one's there, you feel like you're going to have a nap surrounded by all this great art, simply to inspire your mind to unlock that creative, playful part. So imagine climbing into that bed, randomly placed in the middle of a gallery. Pull the covers over, feel your head on the pillow. As I count down from 5 to 1, I want you to imagine what it would be like to just drift off into a deep sleep there in the middle of that gallery. 5, just eyelids feeling heavier and heavier. 4, releasing any tension in your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. 3, as you breathe in, just your internal organs all start to relax. 2, your arms feel limp, loose and heavy. And 1, as do your legs, limp, loose and heavy, as you imagine what it would be like to just have a 20-minute nap in a random bed placed in the middle of the National Gallery. And I want you to drift off into your own imagination, thinking about your life. And I want you to think that sometimes we get into habits that we don't realize are habits. Maybe we've had a stressful day at work and we reach for a piece of chocolate or a packet of biscuits. Maybe we're feeling anxious and that slice of bread with the butter just feels so appealing. But I want you to assess that eating food when you're bored or stressed or anxious is just an illusion. It feels like it's helping because temporarily it enables you to escape that feeling in a brief moment. The problem is those feelings can come back, which then cause perhaps eating more and more. And I want you to accept the idea that emotional eating is just making a subconscious choice that food can help manage your emotions. It just doesn't do it very well. And I want you to think of all the different ways that could help you manage your emotions much more effectively. Being active, lifting weights, or perhaps choosing art to be an outlet for any intense emotion or just feeling bored. And I want you to imagine thinking about your future and what you would want it to be like. And you can recall different times from your past where you took on difficult paths that involved complex things that just needed to be done. Otherwise, that goal that you set could never be achieved. And that might be living or working in a different country. Perhaps if you'd have known how much trouble or hassles or challenges would have been, you might not have done it. But once you set the goal, you just did what was necessary to get the outcome that you wanted. And I wonder what it would be like to start thinking of a future where you could set ridiculously big goals that might need you to be a different body size or to be creative with art. And let's entertain that future. I want you to breathe in and breathe out, still breathing in those incredible resources. And I want you to imagine it's a future where you're able to slip into those size 8 clothes with grace and ease, feeling the fabric hug your body comfortably as a testament to you doing whatever was necessary to move your life in that direction. There's been many times in your life that you've activated a feeling of discipline just because you needed it. And I want you to locate that feeling of discipline within you and then imagine turning up and amplifying that discipline. And as you feel a surge of discipline within you that's strong enough to resist the temptation of unhealthy choices, particularly when stress or boredom beckons, I want you to picture yourself making food choices aligned with your goals so that you're selecting nourishing options that support your journey to a healthier, more confident you. I want you to recognize the power of determination within you, a force that drives you to take consistent steps towards your desired transformation. Because the future version of you will be slimmer. Perhaps you can see yourself wearing a particular item of clothing in your wardrobe that isn't possible right now. And perhaps you can imagine wearing that dress in a gallery next to your own work and just get a sense that this is a possible future for you. I want you to embrace your increasing confidence and self-esteem, knowing that with each positive choice you are building a strong foundation for a radiant and self-assured version of yourself. And what if every time you wear those size 8 clothes, it represents a symbol of your progress and commitment a reminder of your dedication to become the very best version of yourself. I want you to think of the place where you tend to create art. And I want you to see yourself like you're someone else. But imagine that version of you channeling intense emotions into the creation of art, allowing your creativity to flow freely as a productive outlet. But also notice that when you're creating art, you're not snacking on refined carbohydrates. Art simply is a way of managing your emotions better than those other things. Perhaps you can visualize yourself confidently lifting weights, your body growing stronger with each repetition, as you work towards your goal of revitalizing your old wardrobe. And what if, as you become physically stronger, you accept the idea that you're becoming emotionally stronger, more resilient, more confident? And let the thought of wearing your size 8 clothes ignite a spark of excitement within you, motivating you to choose activities that align with your fitness and health goals. And I want you to imagine what it would be like to imagine there is a temporary exhibition in the National Gallery. And I want you to imagine what it would be like to see yourself in that gallery standing next to the work that you've created. As you accept that there's no guarantee of being exhibited in a major gallery, but that if you don't produce any art, then it's absolutely certain that it won't. So see your artwork exhibited in that major gallery, or being appreciated by others, a representation of your commitment to self-improvement and your ability to channel your emotions into positive outlets. Perhaps you can even picture the monetary rewards that could come from selling your art, envisioning the financial and personal value of your creation supporting your journey. And maybe that future version of you doesn't need to do a job that you don't enjoy, because you're able to put more of your time into doing something you're truly passionate about. See that future version of you where you're wearing clothes that complement this size 8 body. And see yourself thriving on nourishing foods that fuel your body, providing the energy you need to power through your day and stay on track with your transformation. Art is just an outlet for your emotions. And the more art that you produce, the more your technical competency grows, but also the more that you're not eating food. So every time you produce art, see yourself becoming slimmer and more confident, more fulfilled, brimming with enthusiasm, seeking inspiration from many different sources. And see that future version of you as a slim artist, looking happy and confident, realizing that for years those emotions have been working against you, and now you've tamed them, and those emotions now serve you. Art can be one option. Lifting weights or exercise can be another. Perhaps music. Perhaps looking for inspiration. Could all be things that meet that need, that means that you don't need to resort to snacking on refined carbohydrates, because you're able to harness your emotions to work for you rather than against you. You don't need a coping strategy that involves food, because you have a coping strategy that is infinitely more effective and powerful and useful. And then I want you to imagine one final version of your future. Perhaps you can call it the pinnacle. What would need to happen in your future for that chain of events to have all been surprisingly worthwhile? You lost weight anyway, your confidence grew, but imagine something so ridiculously big that it creates a feeling of intense excitement just at the possibility. And as you entertain that thought, you realize that you are opening up the very resources needed to channel determination, discipline, and tenacity to take your life in the very direction that you desire. Imagine you're back in that bed in the gallery. You leave it, but with a deep conviction that you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by making changes that work for you rather than against you. Even a very stressful day can just be harnessed into new inspiration, new ideas. And in a weird way, you can be grateful for some of the people that you work with that could trigger emotions that could lead to incredible art that impacts the world. And then imagine walking around the gallery and then seeing another version of you staring into perhaps a favorite painting. See yourself lost in a trance and then step into that body. So you're now looking at the same painting. As you realize that this painting, this gallery, the art, are all just thoughts within thoughts, ideas within ideas, and dreams within dreams, as you take a deep breath in and feel that you're returning to the present, but taking all these new ideas, new strategies, and an inner self-belief that why not? Why not create art? Why not reactivate that wardrobe of all the clothes that you've paid for anyway? And think of it not as a overwhelming challenge, but just a pragmatic thing that when you do certain things, you get certain results. No different from all the steps to living in a country where you don't speak the language. As you breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your nose, just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, returning to the present, as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.